Grace be unto you and peace from God our Father and from the Lord Jesus Christ. I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go into the house of the Lord." I'm Father Steve Sellers, and thank you so much for tuning in today for this brief daily message of hope. I was thinking over the last couple of days about teaching middle school students. Several years ago, I had the great honor and privilege, and though it wasn't a penance, I actually enjoyed teaching middle school students about the faith, about what our faith is, what it teaches, and what the Lord actually calls us to do and to be for Him. I enjoyed that immensely. And one of the exercises I did with these middle schoolers, I would go up to the whiteboard and I would write, "The beginning of prayer is," and I'd put a blank. How would you finish that sentence? The beginning of prayer is. And so we wrestle in our minds with what it is that is the starting point for our prayer. And of course, most of my classes I taught that prayer is simply communicating with God. It is the open line of communication that God has created between Him and us as individuals and as groups. And that there are different forms that those prayers take, but they're all communicating with God. You know, I talk a little bit sometimes about how the word prayer, the Latin derivative precati, actually means to beg for something. In Hebrew, the equivalent word tefillah or hallel actually means something a little different. It means an act of self-analysis, self-introspection, looking within. And we know that there are prayers that call us to look within. But how would you finish the sentence? The beginning of prayer is what? Some people would answer the beginning of prayer is faith, that it takes faith to enter into communication with God, and that is certainly true. But that's not ultimately true. The beginning of prayer is hope. The beginning of prayer is love. The beginning of prayer starts with a relationship, and that's also true. There are many different ways to answer that, but how would you answer it? The beginning of prayer for you is what? And so I'm just going to share with you the one that I found that I really genuinely love. It's what St. Mother Teresa had to say about prayer. And here's what she said. She begins by saying the beginning of prayer is silence. If we really want to pray, we must first learn to listen. For in the silence of the heart, God speaks. And to be able to see that silence, to be able to hear God, we need a clean heart. For a clean heart can see God, can hear God, can listen to God, and then only from the fullness of our heart can we speak to God. But we cannot speak unless we have listened, unless we have made that connection with God in the silence of our heart. For St. Mother Teresa, it was silence. It was the beginning point. And that started with paying attention to others, focusing outwardly on what's going on around us, seeing the people God brings into our lives day by day, knowing that God has a purpose and a reason and a plan for us to be here. And we find out about that through prayer. And so the beginning of prayer for St. Mother Teresa was keeping silent. For some of you, it may be keeping your hope alive. For some of you, it's adoration. The beginning of prayer is adoring God. But whatever it is for you, that's communicating with God. And please remember that your communication doesn't travel all the way across the universe. Although it might. God is all the way across the universe, but He's also right with you. Your communication with God begins right where you are now, in the physical place, in the emotional place, the spiritual place. Wherever you are right now is the beginning point. And so keep silent for a moment, realize who is there with you, and then just talk to Him. Because prayer ultimately is communicating with the God who first communicated to us. As a matter of fact, He puts the words in us that we return to Him. I hope you have a blessed day today and that you are finding opportunities to to connect with God where you are today. And through His grace and mercy, I will see you right here again tomorrow.